You ever sit down, look at your bank account, and feel small? Like no matter how hard you work, you're just treading water. Maybe it's the bills piling up, the rent, the groceries, the little emergencies that always seem to pop up. And yet, somehow, everyone else seems to be moving faster. Faster promotions, bigger paychecks, more investments. It's exhausting. I remember sitting in my apartment one night, staring at my computer screen, wondering if I'd ever actually get ahead. It wasn't that I wasn't working hard. It wasn't that I didn't know about investing or saving, but the results were painfully slow. And in a world that glorifies instant success, it made me feel like I was failing. But what if the path I was on, the slow, steady, boring path, was exactly the one that wins in the end? We live in this age of speed. Social media tells us stories of overnight success, viral gains, people quitting their jobs and suddenly making it. And we compare ourselves to that constantly. But here's a truth nobody tells you. The stories you see are the exceptions, not the rule. They make you feel like if you aren't moving at warp speed, you're doing something wrong. That's a lie. Most people misunderstand wealth. They think it's about sudden wins, high-risk plays, or chasing the next shiny thing. They ignore patience because it feels boring. And struggling with money feels personal, like a failure of willpower, rather than what it really often is, a misunderstanding of how slow compounding works, how habits build quietly over time. And so, the struggle becomes emotional. You feel frustrated, anxious, even ashamed. But none of that means you're failing. It just means you've been trained to chase the wrong kind of speed. Let's talk about the slow path, the path nobody brags about. It's not glamorous. It's not full of flashy investments or get-rich-quick schemes. It's consistency. Think of it like planting a tree. You water it a little bit every day, you pull weeds, you make sure it's not in shade, and you wait. You don't see the trunk growing inch by inch. You don't see the roots slowly spreading underground. But every day, something unseen is happening. And years later, you have a tree that can weather storms, a tree that can bear fruit for decades. The same applies to wealth. You invest consistently, even if it's small. You save a little each month. You manage debt quietly. You avoid lifestyle inflation when the temptation comes. It's not dramatic, but over time it adds up in ways that hustle now, win later schemes rarely do. Psychology explains why this works. Humans are wired to respond to immediate rewards. That's why flashy wins feel so satisfying. They hit the dopamine centers in our brain. But long-term growth doesn't give you that rush. It's invisible. Your money isn't doing backflips today, but that doesn't mean it's not growing. Let me show you a simple example. Say you save $300 a month. You invest it in an index fund that grows, on average, 7% per year. After 1 year, you have $3,600 plus a little growth. Not impressive, right? After 5 years, $18,000 plus growth. Not life-changing yet. 10 years, $36,000 plus growth. Still modest. But fast forward 20 or 30 years, suddenly that $300 a month becomes hundreds of thousands, sometimes even over $1 million. And you didn't feel rich along the way. You just felt consistent. It's human nature to underestimate time. We feel the first 5 years are wasted if we don't see huge results. But that's the illusion. The slow path leverages time itself as a weapon. While everyone chases shortcuts, the slow path quietly compounds, protected from the emotional volatility of decisions. And it's not just investing, it's every financial habit. Paying off credit cards consistently, not maxing out your lifestyle when you get a raise, keeping your expenses under control, having an emergency fund that grows silently in the background. These are the boring, invisible things that actually shield you from stress and set you up for freedom. I used to think I had to hustle harder or find the next big thing to make money. But what I realized is that those who chase speed often burn out. They chase gains they can't sustain. The slow path is different. It's less about winning fast and more about not losing yourself along the way. At some point, I had a realization. The slow path isn't just a financial strategy, it's a psychological one, because it changes how you relate to money and life. Instead of obsessing over the scoreboard, you start thinking about systems, about daily habits, about consistency. You learn to accept that life is messy. Bills come, emergencies happen, markets dip. You can't control any of that, but you can control your habits. And by controlling your habits, you control the trajectory of your life. This shift is subtle but profound. It turns money from a source of anxiety into a tool that quietly supports your freedom. You stop comparing yourself to flashy stories and you start building your own story brick by brick. And here's the thing, it's deeply liberating. You're no longer racing to catch someone else's success. You're running your own race on your own terms. So, what does this look like in real life? You start with patience. Not the vague be patient advice, but structured patience. You set up systems that remove decision fatigue. Automate your savings, even if it's small. Make investing automatic. Set up reminders to review your spending, but don't obsess over it. You focus on habits, not headlines. Little decisions matter. Cooking at home instead of ordering out, keeping an eye on recurring subscriptions, tracking your spending quietly, paying off debt consistently, even if it's just $5 extra a month. These are not glamorous, but over time they add up in ways that hustle now, win later schemes rarely do. You embrace the invisible progress. It feels boring, sure. It feels slow. But if you can tolerate the slow, you avoid the panic of chasing high-risk shortcuts. You avoid the stress of lifestyle inflation. You create a life where money isn't an emergency, it's a foundation. And the most important part is giving yourself grace. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to hit every target. Progress is enough. Slow progress is still progress. You'll look back years from now and realize you're further ahead than anyone who chased quick wins. Wealth is rarely flashy, it's rarely fast, and the real advantage isn't in beating the next person. It's in outlasting the chaos, the emotional highs and lows, the temptations to quit or overspend. The slow path asks for patience, consistency, and sometimes a little discomfort, but it gives you something far more valuable, a quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you're building something real, resilient, and lasting. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're frustrated by slow progress, if you're doubting yourself, you're not failing. You're on the slow path, and that path, boring as it may feel today, is the one that often wins the race. Progress beats perfection, and every small step you take today is a foundation for freedom tomorrow.